Customer came in with the Ct200uex stock 196 engine. He wants an aluminum flywheel, 10K RPM installed, 22-pound springs, VM22 installed, and his governor removed. Let's start with removing that governor. So let's take off the side cover. I already took off the jack shaft. I take off the 6 bolts from the side. There's that early plastic cam. Customer doesn't have a replacement. I did tell the customer that he's gonna have to upgrade the cam to at least a non-plastic one because it's gonna break without the governor in there. You could run it for some time, but not a very long time. He's also aware about the rod. He's got the stock rod in there. I also told him he's gonna need that arc rod to be able to take off that governor and his engine won't blow up, because you need to run that durability before you can run that performance, if that makes sense. We're gonna remove that gas tank so we get more of a clearance view. Just move the gas tank over to the side so it can expose that governor arm, so we can hammer out that pin that connects the governor arm from the outside. And then we're gonna remove the casing so we can take off the governor internally. And then we're gonna remove this one and put the VM22 on there as well. We're also gonna remove the linkage because we're not gonna need that no more after the governor is removed and the new carburetor is installed. Now that you got all that stuff out of the way, you can go ahead and take these off. And what you could do is use 2 bolts, 2 locking nuts, and put them against each other and then counterclockwise them and take it off. But if you got some vice grips or some of these, you can easily grip it and take it off. So just like that, they come right off. Doesn't matter if you mess up the grooves. As long as they come out, you're not gonna use them again. Let's go ahead and take off this front cover. After you take off that side cover, want to loosen up that bolt. Already got it loose. We're gonna take off the stock flywheel, very ugly looking. You want to put the nut back on there after you take off the coupling and the plastic part. You only want to put it in about that much. Leave a gap and not all the way in, because if you hit it right here, which we're gonna do, you're gonna mushroom it and it won't be able to screw back on. And for all the people with the front headlight, you guys probably already know the 2 charging coils that make the light turn on. After putting an aftermarket flywheel on there, you're gonna have to remove those charging coils. So if you want to use a stock headlight, you're gonna have to rewire it somehow or connect it to a impact battery or something like that, because those are gonna have to come off in order for the either cheap flywheel or the arc billet flywheel to be able to spin freely, or else everything's gonna be on the way and it's not gonna let the flywheel spin. And yeah, you get the point. Now that we have the charging coils out the way, we can go inside the engine so we can take off the shaft and take off that governor gear so it causes no drag or any metal flakes inside your engine. So the rod will have 10 millimeters. Take them off and then push it up. Push the rod all the way up as much as you can so you can take out the shaft. And so we can take off that governor internally and take off the arm. And we're gonna do 1/4 by 21-inch screws with the washer on top. And we're gonna put some Loctite on that screw as well, so it never moves or goes anywhere. After we remove the screws, it should be able to just come off just like that. And what you wanna do is rotate this way until you can get that rod loose and push it up. With the piston being moved all the way up, you can easily just pull it out. And this is why we pull it out, to take off this governor gear to cause no drag or any metal shavings while you're going above RPM limit. Because then they'll hit against the block and these is where the metal shavings will come from. So let's take this off. So it's pretty easy to remove that. You just want to get a center punch, hammer it 1, 2, 3, 4 until it falls off, and it'll fall out very easy. You don't have to hit it hard, just hard enough. It's very easy to come off. So after hammering it about 2 times each on each side, it'll come off just like that. Put it back in and we get rid of that, and we have a little bit more clearance in our block. So putting it back on is very easy. You just want to vice versa your steps. Push it down a little bit and I'll meet at the top. And you put this in and line up the bolts. And then you twist to a point where you can screw them on. Of course, before you do all this stuff, you always want to lubricate your parts and make sure they're nice and oiled. or you can have friction, and it's bad for the rod, it's bad for the shaft, and it's not gonna be good when you put it all together and you try to go. It might get stuck, or it might just produce too much heat, and then metal bends with too much heat, and it's either gonna be shavings, or it could just break your shaft internally, or even your rod. Before you do that stuff, you want to take off that arm right there. It's a 10mm. Pull it off. Try to get the handle off somehow, and you're gonna push it down with a center punch. Then you expose a little pin, and it should just be able to push right through. If not, get your center punch and punch it down with a hammer, and it'll come right out. So when you remove the top pin, it has 2 washers. Make sure you get rid of them. Hammer it from the top inward. Got my rod back connected. The governor comes out the same way. You hammer it out, and then you're gonna get your 1/4 by 20 1-inch screws ready. You're gonna put some Loctite, and you're gonna put a washer on there so it makes a perfect seal. That governor as well is gonna have a washer that usually gets stuck in there like that. You wanna take that out, because that's a no-no. Mess up your whole engine, your whole gears. Boom. Here are my 1/4 by 20s with the washers, and we're just gonna dap them up with some Loctite. And we're gonna plug both holes, they're the same size. And they're gonna go right in there, or you can use a tap and die set, but using the screws will make the grooves itself. So they should both look like that when they're all said and done, and they're not gonna go anywhere. That Loctite on there, they're gonna strip in there before they come out. Then you can start putting in everything internally. Start with the lifters. Make sure you put those in there and they're lubricated before you put them in. And then the cam, and then the side cover with the gasket on there. After you had all that done, everything internally is done. We're gonna move on to the flywheel. So the stock flywheel, the aluminum flywheel, are both 55 pounds of torque. While you got your billet arc flywheel, that one's 65 pounds of torque. So this one was only 55. So here we are at 55 foot-pounds. So there we are at 55 foot-pounds. I gapped the coil, 3/1000 to 4/1000 of an inch. We could put on the cover back on there. Before we put everything else back together, we're gonna get these 22-pound springs installed. You just take the valve cover off. It's 4 bolts, 8mm. And then you expose the valves, the rockers, the springs, and the keepers. And very easy to take off. I already took one off. And we're gonna use the stock ones back in there because they're not that heavy. 22-pound springs, you can use these so nothing will happen, instead of the ones with the keepers. And to put the springs on there without taking off the head, you could either do the shoelace method where you take off the spark plug and you shove a shoelace in there, or you can use the actual tool that goes in where the spark plug goes and it holds the stem inside. But I like to use this, go in here, small enough, and it just holds the rod in place. So there you go, the 22-pound springs are in there. Don't forget your lash cap. Goes right in there snug, and then you can put in your push rods in there, line them up. Now we got all that done, put the valve cover back on, and we're gonna move on to the carburetor. So you always wanna line it up to the grommet, and then measure it first on there, so you put it on straight. After we get that carburetor installed and tuned, we can go for the first start. So, kill switch. So there you have it. Aluminum flywheel, PM22, 22-pound springs. And I hooked up a throttle. Everything's good. So I got Camilo's bike done right here. What do you think, bro?
Oh, it's pretty cool. Like, sounds hella better now.
Hell yeah, bro. Tap in.